Alrighty, we're working on the 1928 FH again today. I did a little cleaning. Here's the head. This here is all clean and ready to paint. The cam, I'm not going to paint that, but that's clean. Here's all the brackets to hold on the shroud and the valves. This here holds on the shroud up top. And this here's the wheel pump. And what I got here is the carburetor. The carburetor was a little dirty. I mean, I blew it out and some bugs flew out of it and stuff like that. You can't really take it apart. Let me turn the light on for you here, because I don't know if you can see in there, but this rod, you can't take it out because them flappers down there are actually soldered on. And then without being able to take that out, you can't even take this jet out. There's a little knob here, you know, and that's your jet down here. So I got it backed out as far as I can go. And here's the tube. I blew that out, and the check valve seems to be working. But what I'm going to do is, usually what Mike does on his carburetors is he sandblasts them, and then he, you know, it's a lot of people don't like that, but you know, the guy gets results. I mean, his shit runs great. But anyway, he sandblasts his carburetors, excuse me, and then he puts them in an ultrasonic cleaner, and I got one right here. So that 480, I think that's 480 seconds. We're going to stick it in there and see what it does. All right, I got some cleaner in there. You know, you guys are wondering what do you use, what kind of cleaner and stuff. I actually have this stuff here, and it's meant for it, ultrasonic general purpose cleaning powder. You know, it's Harbor Freight. Even the machine, the little machine, is Harbor Freight, and it works great. I've used it once or twice before, and it's cheap. But save your money on this stuff. I mean, unless you want to buy it. But all this is just it's powder. See if I can open it here. One-handed, left-handed at that. And actually, all it is, by the smell and the texture and everything, it's just dishwashing detergent. It smells like Cascade or something. So I don't even remember what I paid for this, you know. But this, for what I paid for this little jar, let's see what it says. It's only a 6-ounce jar. For what I paid for that 6-ounce jar, you probably could have got 10 pounds of you know, dishwashing stuff. I know some guys use Simple Green and other concoctions, but we're going to see what this does. Like I say, I turn it on right now. Watch me turn it on. Whoa! I don't know if you can hear that, and you can actually see it's starting to work. Look at all the coke coming out of there. It's crazy. So I'm going to let that go. 480 seconds. What is that? 8 minutes or something? I'm going to put the lid on there and we'll see what it looks like. Alright, well, this thing was cooking. I cleaned up a few more parts. Actually, I put this on another cycle. Not that I really needed it. And it's got another 5 minutes or so, but I put it on another cycle. But it gave me a chance to clean up everything here. I cleaned up the piston, and I cleaned up nice. And I cleaned up all the carbon in there. I had to do that by hand. These journals. This piston is in beautiful condition. Beautiful. The piston itself, I think, is original. The connecting rod looks aftermarket. And for those of you that are wondering, it's a cast iron piston. Look at that. That's a magnet I got there. Look, it's connecting everything. Yeah, that's cast iron. Let me set you guys up on a tripod and we'll see how the ultrasonic cleaner did over there, and I'm also going to show you something very important. Alright, just about done here. Right, just shut off. Let's see what we got there. Huh. From the looks of the color of the water, looks like it did something. Let's see. Ooh, ow. Ah, son of a bitch, that's hot. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know, you might be able to see the steam coming off of that. It's pretty hot. Matter of fact, something's still gurgling, it's so hot. Alright. Yeah, look at the steam on that. I don't know if you guys can see that. I didn't know that was so hot. Anyway, let me blow on it. Yeah, it's everything cleaned up. Where you at? Where you at? It's tough to see all these things because the screen is reversed. But yeah, that came out really nice. I'm gonna take that and polish it up now like a brand new penny. Let's see if we can get this out of here now. What? Well, it's got to be almost boiling that water. It's the check valve. Okay, we just blew on it and sucked on it, and that's working perfect. Okay. Now let me show you what I was talking about. Here's the piston. What's very important is you have to do it by hand. Clean out all the carbon that's in here. Take the rings out. Clean out all the carbon. I was lucky I had this little tiny file. It's a square file, and it fits right in there. You know, and you could actually scratch and scrape all the carbon without having to, you know, damaging the piston and stuff. But once you get that, you know, if everything's nice and shiny, you know, that doesn't mean anything if you don't get the carbon out. Now let me show you. Here's the rings. Let me get my glasses here so I can see. All right. If you look behind the rings, these are all carboned up. You know, you take a razor blade, you can actually see it's all little black shit coming off on my hands. But these are, get a razor blade and get all this carbon out, or else, and be careful too, because you can break these rings. I mean, you can replace them, but these here, I don't know if you can get kind of an angle right there. But anyway, clean these up, and then after you scrape them with this, hit them with some Scotch-Brite. Let's see if I got some Scotch-Brite here. Alright. Yeah. Hit them with some Scotch-Brite and just make sure you get all this carbon off the inside there. You know, so these rings seat nice. Or else you'll get build up back there and everything's going to wear incorrectly and stuff like that. So that's very important. Alright. Let me clean that carburetor up. Let me get some I don't know what I'll use on that. I'm sure I got some kind of brass polish or something. Let me go get it. Alright, polished up the carburetor. It came out pretty nice. I used a couple things. I tried this Brasso. This is an old can of Brasso, about 25 years old or so. That's what's nice about being old. Yeah, sometimes you have stuff left over that works. You know, the newer formula of this stuff, I don't think it works that well, but the older stuff they had to stop making works pretty good. Plus I had some others here, I tried that. That worked okay too. And I also cleaned up everything on this back plate here, where the points are. And I soldered on terminals. Originally, that way I could bolt the wires on. Originally everything was soldered. You had a wire soldered from here going to your coil, and then another wire soldered going to the stop button. But this way I could just unbolt everything when I want to take everything apart if I have to. Alright, something was brought to my attention, right? And I think it was video of part 1. Somebody mentioned that it looked like the crank was bent. I think one of the guys was B-Duff 007. B-Duff 007. He says, he just left a real short comment, said bent crank, and he had the time on there. You know, where it would be. And then another guy Shaggy 577, he was a little more elaborate, said, I'm not sure, but it looked like the crank might have been bent. So it was about, when I read that comment, it was about 12, no, it was probably 1 o'clock in the morning. And I actually came out in the garage and checked it, you know, and I looked at the video, and from the looks of the video, I know the crank was only being held on by one bearing, you know, it was just hanging in there. So when I spun it, I know it was more exaggerated, but I figured, well, let me check it anyway. So I came out in the garage and I put it in a lathe here and put a gauge on there. Let me see. I don't want you guys to get too much glare. I don't know what you can see, what you can't see, but the one side is actually looks like it's out about 11 thousandths. But I think that's the good side. Let me flip the crank over and we'll see what it looks like. Okay, I flipped the crank around here, and this side looks like it might be out 9 thousandths or 8 or 9 thousandths. But that really doesn't tell me anything. What I have to do is actually make a cradle this thing on both sides, and then put a gauge up to it and see how far, you know, apparently both of them are out, but that'll tell me how far out they are. But when I turn this thing on, when I turn the machine on, let me take the thing off, you could actually see how much a wobble it would have been. Alright, let me turn it on, you can see how much of a wobble it really is. See, it's actually shaking my whole machine here. But if I flip that around, you'll see, I think this is the bad side, so if I put that in there, you'll actually really see how bad the wobble is. Alright, I got the real bad side in the chuck now. And that actually makes this side look worse. But like I say, until I cradle that, you won't be able to see how far each one of them is really out. Alright, so I would have found out that crank was bent eventually, but probably after the engine was put together and I seen the flywheels wobbling. So I appreciate them, both of them comments there. Road King likes them kind of comments. He saved me a lot of time, because right now it's easy. I get straighten this crank with no problem. But after I put it together, then I would have had to take everything apart, and everything would have been greased up, and you know, it would have been a headache. But anyway, thanks again to both of you guys for them comments. We appreciate it. All right, enough of this.